Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk about what is higher self and how to connect with it. When I say higher self, then the meaning of higher selves are different in different belief systems. It could be your cosmic energy, spirituality. It could be your an extension of yourself, higher consciousness, higher intelligence. Could be anything. It depends upon the belief system that you are following. An idea behind higher self is the belief that something is bigger than us, and we all are part of that bigger part or bigger higher self, and we are part of it. And this is the idea behind higher self, or it could be something else. And now the question is how to connect with it. There are different belief systems. They guide different routes to connect with the higher self, like yoga, consciousness. It could be spirituality, and focus on your breathing, getting to know yourself, prayers. All of these things, they guide you to connect with the higher self. It depends upon the belief system that you are following. Different belief systems, they give different routes they give different interpretation to understand, to comprehend the meaning of higher self and connecting with it. And higher self and how to connect with it is our topic for discussion today. And to discuss this topic, my guest is Edward Konowicz, and he has joined us from Virginia, United States. Hey
Yeah,
Ed,
hi everybody.
how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I reached the point in my jogging, I have to say this, where it's
Mhm,
enjoyable. Jogging's a pounding exercise, but
mhm,
I finally stayed with it long enough. And I do
mhm.
this about every 5 years. So yeah, I'm happy now that I can, like go with a bicycle or a car, just travel by
Mhm,
slight running. But that's a big
mhm,
deal for me. I guess that's
mhm.
higher body or higher
Okay.
exercise, which is
Exercise is
important. I
exercising is also a very good point here. It also helps you to connect with yourself or to connect with higher self.
right, higher yoga,
Yes.
higher walking,
Mhm,
higher general kinesthetics.
mhm,
You're it's not separated because
mhm.
as you actualize yourself, you get this energy. You get a lot of energy, and
Yes.
that energy is a sign of a higher self. But I'm going to approach this what differently than what most
Mhm,
people say. I agree
mhm,
basically with what you said,
mhm. Even focus
which
on
is
your breathing. The breath you are inhaling and exhaling. If you focus on it, it also helps you to connect with higher self.
just to be aware that you're
Mhm,
eating
mhm,
oxygen. It
mhm,
helps you, and
mhm,
but we're also um, connected to some other like energies,
mhm,
and a lot of people talk about that. So I don't want to emphasize that, but I don't want to leave it out. Which is
mhm,
we could you know just talk and talk and talk for hours, but I want to make some unique points. My skill is to say something unique, which is the higher self has a higher field of consciousness. Now, what that means is our interaction space is more integrated. And I want to talk about integration and clearance, which is your clearance is higher. I don't say personal power, though personal power is like clearance, because you are part of everyone's part of a network.
mhm,
Even if we live alone, we're still part of other consciousness that thinks like us and that lives alone or has similar experiences. And when we're realize we're connected, not equally. People say, well, we're all connected, we're all one. I don't totally agree. I think we're connected with some parts of the universe that are close to us, even if we're alone. And other parts we're so far away from, for all practical purposes, we're disconnected. And I think that's the key to personal clearance or personal power, which is your higher self. You know what to get closer to, you know who you want to be close to, and you know who you have to keep at a distance, which is you're clearing your field. It's like you're a farmer. You have to pull the weeds out. And people can be like weeds or parasites, and you have to pull them away from you before they drag you down. And the universe will, in many ways, drag you down. It is also drag you up, and you have to separate what drags you down from what helps you to go higher. And that's where I'm different. This is not so much you, it's your alignment. What are you going to harmonize with? And what doesn't harmonize with you, can you distance it from yourself, particularly using the very, very powerful concept of conventions. Your customs or habits of a culture have a lot of influence. And a higher self person knows how to use conventions to their advantage rather than allow conventions to be used against them. Any comments? I don't see any comments yet. I don't know whether we have
And yeah,
much of an
no,
audience.
I'm also surprised that people are watching, but I don't see any comments. Uh, and
Well,
okay.
let's not. People don't have to make comments. I'm not trying to force it, but let me restate it because this
Mhm,
is such an important concept.
mhm.
Your higher self has higher clearance. Higher clearance means there's someone. There's Jackie. Hi.
Exactly.
It means your higher clearance means the fog, the pollution is not in your home. Your clearance is your home, which is if you have a rotten spouse, you got to
Mhm,
get away from them. It's not, nothing unusual. If you have
mhm,
a rotten boss or something, you have to now adjust where you spend your time, that the people around you respect and honor you, and you honor and respect the people by you. So a big word
mhm.
or concept that has to do with the higher self is
So,
honor.
so it means higher self means clearance and working on yourself. And working on yourself means weeding out, and just like you are doing gardening, to work on yourself, work on your inner self. And how do you define working on inner self?
Well, you have to detect a lack
Mhm,
of respect or honor, including yourself. You have to honor yourself.
mhm,
And people who dishonor you, and you can feel it immediately when someone dishonors you, you
mhm,
have to push off. You have to basically keep them at a distance. And so it's a feeling of honor or respect. And everyone feels it. Everyone feels when someone disrespects them. Now they need the skill of conventions. I think that's a lame Buddha cat.
mhm.
Um,
Yes.
I Now you need to be able to use conventions, the habits of culture, to put a wall between you and people who disrespect you. And most cultures recognize respect or honor, and we need to use those customs and realize we can't be fully forthright. I mean, we can stay honest, but there's a lot of people we should not interact with. And if we
Mhm,
do interact with them, it needs to be very formal and according to customs.
mhm,
And that's part of clearing your field, pulling the weeds out, pulling the dishonorable people or disrespectful people out of your home, out of your regular routines. And now, with people honoring you and respecting you, you get the energy to do a lot of things. It could be exercise, it could
mhm,
be correcting your own habits or your own attitude. And part of that is, and this is something else people don't emphasize, I don't like using the word God because I don't think it's a human being or a guy with a beard. I don't
Mhm.
think God is a person. But the divine,
It, yes,
so it isn't
divine.
that God is unique. One, it's that I just had a mosquito. It's that the divine is unique. Let me repeat this. It isn't God is one. That's the wrongful translation. Yeah, I think it's a wrongful, horrible translation that there is one God. I think it's horrible.
Mhm.
I
And
think
when
the
you say,
actual translation is the divine is unique. So the divine in you is your uniqueness. The divine in everyone else is their uniqueness. And it's respecting the divine, honoring the divine in each person and in ourselves that we attain the higher self. So it's not about worshiping one God, it's about honoring the divine in each person and in ourselves, which is it's not God is one, it's the divine is unique. The
yes.
spark of the
So,
divine is unique in everything, in every person.
so,
And we are to honor that.
so we can also say that divine that you are that is unique and that you are looking for is not uh, outside, is in yourself.
Well, it's all over. It's in and outside. It is there's a spark in the divine, which is honor, that you honor yourself and people honor you. Now, if you don't do this, this is what's so interesting about the divine. And it's subtle. It's like seeing on a day, I have a picture on my Facebook page of ducks and ducklings, a mother duck with her duckling, and I captured it about noon, and the water is sparkling. There's all these little tintillating lights coming off the water. And if we don't see that spark of the divine, of the tenderness of the mother with her duckling, we have to see it or it disappears. The divine is hidden because we glimpse it and we have to sustain it in our mind. We have to sustain the love we have for each person. We have to sustain the love they have for us. So it's an interactive thing, a higher self. It's
Yeah.
honoring what is unique.
No, this is very important here, and I love this. Whatever you say, and it gives me an idea that the divine gives you a glimpse to connect with it, and I think it gives you many signs. Just like I go for walk every day in the evening, and the evening lights and the countryside, and there's something unique about it, and I find it fascinating and interesting, and I go there every day, and I love this view. I think this going through the country walk, the evening light, the sun setting, and the serenity and the tranquility of the atmosphere is just a it's just a spark of the divine, and it's a way to connect with it.
Yeah,
You
I
just
think
have
I
to.
think that's it. And so the higher self sees the beauty of the uniqueness, sees the spark of the divine, and sustains it. When I was in college, and a lot of my friends were artists and very creative people, and one I went to a river area, and he showed me how to squint my eyes to see light differently, how a painter actually can sort of focus their eyes to see
By
sort of a magical world.
Mhm.
And we have to do that. We need to focus when we meet a person or when we're with other people and see the magic they're capable. Now, most people aren't capable of much. I mean,
Mhm.
it's real
And
easy for them to get into dishonor. And we
Mhm.
want to avoid not only ourselves being disrespectful or dishonorable, we want to be able to keep people around us from being disrespectful or dishonorable.
and
Yeah, hi,
when
hi
what
Elaine. Yeah, I she's definitely a sparkle
Yeah,
on my
and
page.
she is okay. You should sympathize with her. She is in FD jail for 30 days, and she
Yeah,
is joining us on YouTube.
Facebook is trying to destroy the
Yeah.
divine.
Yes,
It really.
and there's one thing else that when we talk about connecting with it, connecting with higher self, and I see while in my country evening walk, I see many people they are just going by, they just don't, they just simply routine walk and uh, go on their vehicles, on their bikes, and they're just coming through it. But
Well,
I rarely see anyone who connect with herself and fascinated by it and look around and enjoy this beauty of nature.
hi, Sandra. Well, I don't like to dishonor a person. If I see a
Mhm,
person busy, I'm
mhm,
hoping in their mind they're sustaining the
mhm,
divine. They're
mhm,
thinking about someone that they love or want to love. They're
mhm,
thinking about a chore they need to do correctly. So just because they're not concentrated on the divine and the environment does not
it doesn't
mean
mean.
they're not concentrated on the divine and their own
Mhm,
inspiration.
mhm,
Because your inspiration about how to do something or practice or build a skill can be very within. So yes, the divine, as we discussed already, the
mhm,
divine can be within or without. And sometimes when you see a person, they're looking at the divine within, and we want to encourage that. Now, people do go into dishonor or disrespect, and we have to discourage that and pull away from them. And so we don't want to see too rosy of a world. There's a lot of dishonor in the world. But I think a person of the higher self is very honorable,
mhm,
and particularly that honor, that love is sustained in their home.
mhm.
So the holiest place in the world is your home.
Yes,
And I think the
and
Hindu sound Om
mhm,
refers to that. The
yes,
sacred sound of the universe is home. And that's
yes.
where there needs to be a lot of honor.
Yeah, when we talk about home, it could be your inner home, yourself, your heart, your soul, your body is just like they say, treat your body like a temple and worship it every day. I think they talk about the idea behind it is by home means is yourself, is your inner self. Work on it, treat yourself better, be honest, be open, accept your feelings, and all of these things is a way to realize the sacredness of the home.
Well, this is a little more complicated in
Mhm,
this sense.
mhm,
A lot of people through economics, war,
mhm,
crime become homeless
mhm,
because your home has to regroup. And it's very hard to regroup. The less home you have, the less honor, the harder it is to regroup and regrow your home. But you really need to grow your home.
mhm,
And it's like a farmer. You have to distance. It could be a homeless person. They have to
mhm,
distance themselves from dishonorable people. See a dishonorable person coming, and move towards honorable people.
mhm.
And you can grow your home. And it's
Yeah,
hard once you lose it because your network, the people you're connected to, they may be under attack. Their homes could have been destroyed. So now they have to regroup. In fact, I think that's why we die. I think we get attached to a home that doesn't have enough honor, doesn't
mhm,
have enough truth and love. So now we have to regroup ourselves naturally. We die and we're going to be regrouped into a place of more honor or dishonor, depending on what you're moving towards. See, what I try to correct people
mhm,
is they want to say, oh, there's higher frequencies and lower frequencies.
mhm,
I
mhm,
say, no, that's not correct. There's harmony and lack of harmony.
mm,
which is a higher self is like music. It sings, it's in harmony. And
mm,
a good singer doesn't sing one note, they actually sing the harmonics with it. They almost sing a chord like the Tibetan monks practice to sing a chord. It's more subtle than the Tibetan monks. But we need to be in a chord. A chord means peace, which is in harmony. It's not higher frequency.
mm.
Very powerful people, the killers and mass murderers that influence and are directing the human race, have higher frequencies. They have higher world views, but they dishonor so many people and they're not in harmony with enough of existence. But they try to impose their melody on everything. And what harmony is really two or three melodies. I mean, we're going back to Bach
Mm.
almost and counterpoint. Um, Real harmony is more than one melody at once.
Or
And the great,
it could be by frequency means that sometimes it is easier to connect with higher self, and sometimes it is not. At some places, just like you are in a party, music, and you are in a company of very like-minded people, and you're discussing something. At that point, at certain point, you reach the frequency, and you all of them are on the same page, and you all have the same heart rate. At that point, it is easier to connect with higher self. You see the
we have a
glimpse of it.
question here.
Yes.
How would
Okay.
you suggest we connect um, to enable to listen and get messages from our higher self?
Mhm.
Well,
It's from
people
Jackie.
have different ways of connecting. For some, it's music.
Mhm,
For some, it's poetry. For some, it's taking a walk.
mhm,
And you have to try different methods. And I sort of want to discuss the higher self a little better, which is
mhm,
a higher frequency. And by higher frequency, I mean more information is integrated. For example, if I say the sky is blue, that's not a high frequency because it doesn't have much information. But if I say it's a warm summer day with high humidity, that sentence has more information, and as a result of it is a higher frequency, which is when you look at the physics of it, each frequency equals a certain amount of energy, which is
mhm,
information. Information basically correlates with energy. The more information, the more energy, and if it's in harmony, it's in one frequency. So the higher self is at higher frequencies, which is higher worldviews, which is the higher self is saying, I have to look for the divine around me and in myself. I have to honor it. I have to honor my work by breaking it up into a step by step process of doing my chores and honoring not only the divine in me, honoring the divine in cleaning the bathroom, honoring the divine and cleaning the refrigerator, which is the divine we honor is not just in people and living things, it's in everything. And that
mhm,
is maintenance, which is when someone comes into our home, they feel honorable because we've honored everything. We honored the furniture, we honored the food, which was we see. People say gratitude. I say appreciation. We appreciate what we have. We don't want to depreciate, which is to dishonor. And when we understand that,
mhm,
that thinking is a higher worldview that has higher frequency because it encompasses so much of our activity. All our activity can be based on honor,
mhm,
whether it's cleaning the tabletop, taking out the garbage, going to work. All our activity can be based on honoring the people around us, the things around us, and ourselves. So that's a higher frequency because it includes everything.
Mhm.
And when we begin to include everything, we're at a higher level of self because we're addressing more, for lack of a better term, universal principles.
Mhm. I think frequency it has multiple meanings, like or an higher frequency. It could be taken in different forms and different ways. Like music is also a good way to helps you to connect with higher self, and it raises your vibrations and your vibes, and it gives you a good goosebump. I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you should be able to feel it, which is
Mhm.
your mood should reflect the higher thinking and should reflect so-called the higher frequency.
Mhm.
But a good mood is sometimes is a lower frequency, like a hum.
Mhm.
Om,
Mhm.
home is a hum.
Mhm.
So it's your frequencies are aligned, which is harmony. And we did have a question from Jackie. Your higher
Mhm.
self is different from the divine. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's related to the divine. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy you're asking me a question, and you should,
Mhm. Mhm.
to see what I think.
Mhm.
It's a big question. I mean, most of the time I feel the divine as inspiration. I tend
Mhm.
to see it more like angels. I don't know we can get to the ultimate divine. It's a big
Mhm.
question. You know, people
Yes.
teach you in religion and,
Mhm.
oh, there's this God, or here it is, here's the truth. And
Mhm.
it's an
All of these.
ongoing discovery.
Yeah.
We can't quite wrap our minds around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think
we can say the divine is unique, which is
all
we
of these.
want to look for the uniqueness in everything.
And all of these things are just theories, uh, just experiences of people, and they are putting it into words. And the thing about religion that they are just stopped at one point. Okay, whatever we have religion or organized religion has said, that's it, and this is the meaning, or that is divine, or something is bigger, there's something God, and that is divine. And spirituality is has a different meaning, and uh, higher self could be divine, or it could be something else, but we are learning from it. It's an
Yeah,
ongoing
it's an
discovery.
ongoing learning
Mhm,
discovery,
mhm.
and we need to be in that ongoing learning discovery. And there's
Yes,
another important term before we end, because we're getting near 30
yes,
minutes,
yes,
is amplification. When you have a
yes.
frequency or music, you can run it through an amp and amplify. So when we see the divine in a person or ourselves, we can amplify. In fact, I think all the stars are amplifying light. They act like lasers, which is a laser receives a certain frequency and multiplies it. A laser is an amplification device. It receives a photon or a few photons and then amplifies it into many. And I think the stars do them. People talk about the stars being divine or inspirational because they amplify. And the best examples of love is one falling in love. We amplify the uniqueness of someone else, that we finally found someone who means the divine to us. We're like in
Mhm,
heaven when we're with this person, because we so appreciate, we so honor their uniqueness. And we see this particularly between the mother and her child. We see the mother see the divine in the child, and of course, the child has to see the divine in the mother because that's where
mhm,
his food and his hugs and everything is coming
mhm,
from. And that's amplification. I mean, I hate to
mhm,
come along with a physics term, but when we
mhm,
see that divine, when we glimpse it,
mhm.
we
And
we should have to amplify. We should sustain our glimpse of the divine.
mhm,
And that's what a
and
musician or a painter does. They capture
mhm,
that moment of the divine. They
mhm.
capture it, and we need to do that,
Yes.
which is a form of amplifying.
Mhm. And the connection between lovers, between the two, male and female, or two males, or the connection between lovers is also a very good example. and uh, of it gives you a glimpse of divine. It gives them to give a glimpse of divine to connect with it, to connect with higher self by connecting with each other.
Yeah, the connection can be so strong it can get telepathic. We
Yes.
can actually feel the other at
Mhm.
a distance.
Yes.
We can feel their
Yeah.
presence.
Mhm. So how
So
would
it
you
gets
summarize?
supernatural.
Mhm.
Once you are attuned to the divine, which is the unique spark, and
Mhm.
honoring it in everything around you,
Mhm.
and distancing yourself from that which is dishonorable, you become a lot more telepathic.
Yes.
And telepathic is more about communicating mood and feelings than it is ideas. It's hard to communicate sentences and words with telepathy, but we can communicate mood.
Mhm. So how do you summarize it, higher self, and how to connect with it?
Well, obviously, higher self is unique for each person, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Because the higher self is connecting to the divine. The divine has two meanings: one, the uniqueness, which is the divine is unique for everything, and number two, divining something means to discern, which is how close do we want to be to some people and how far away. I
Mhm.
mean, this is particularly true if you fall in love. You really miss the person because you want them closer to you. And when you
Mhm.
have an enemy, you shouldn't really seek to harm them. You should seek to bypass them, leave them behind, because they
Mhm.
don't belong connecting with you
Mhm.
because they have dishonored you. And you have to ask this question, particularly about your home: who is
Mhm.
honoring me and who is dishonoring me? Who is respecting me? Who is disrespecting? And the pulling and pushing are both important. You want to pull honorable people towards you, and you want to push away people who are dishonorable. Now, I like the word honor because it's sustained. Respect is usually an act or an event, where honor or dishonor is usually sustained. And to be a higher self, we sustain honor, which is different for each person because the divine spark in each person is unique
Is it?
for each person and thing. And I think that's sort of the summary, which is
Mhm.
we are connected with other things. Our power or personal clearance is connected to how well we have that network of honor, particularly our home. Our home is the church or the temple.
Mhm. Yes. Our home is the church and temple, and our home within us, ourself is also our temple. And whether it is ourself
Yeah,
or the four boundaries of our home, they both have the same sacredness.
yeah,
And
good
it's a
point. Good point.
wonderful, yeah, it's a wonderful way to summarize it. And how to connect with it is just work on yourself and clean
Now,
it
work on
and
memory.
yeah,
Work on
work on.
remember. Like, you might have to watch this two or three times,
Mhm.
and then some of the
Mhm.
concepts that you like,
Yeah.
you have to keep repeating it,
Mhm.
which is customs or habits. That's why I use the word honor. It's not
Mhm.
a one act. We have to glimpse the divine and sustain it. We have to amplify it like a star. Star is an amplification device. It's taking certain frequencies, certain thinking, and amplifying it.
Mhm.
So it's
Uh,
blessing those. And we are little stars. We
mhm.
need to amplify certain frequencies, which are certain moods and thinking, and we have to discern it. That's divining. So, yeah, there's all aspects to that. And each
Mhm.
person
They're
approaches
different
it
ways,
in
in
different
different
ways.
way. Yes. And thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Sydney. And thank you, other people, Buddha Cat, and so many comments. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And it was a wonderful topic. It's a topic that I love, higher self and connective, because there are different ways. Everyone has a different way to approach this topic. And Ed, today you taught me a very interesting thing about the glimpses of divine, and they give you a moment to connect with it. And I was wondering about. And I've always been wondering uh, about my evening walks, the evening lights, and sunsetting moments. What is something interesting about those moments? And it was the glimpses of divine to connect with it. And they are different for different people. And thank you. And thank you, Jackie. And thank you, so many people, beautiful people, for your comments. And hey, have a good day, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you, Ahsan Ali. I